My name is Mark Holden. Just a little bit about me, a little bit about Indorama. I am a chemical engineer, spent most of my time in manufacturing, process engineer, process control engineering, and now helping lead the global digital manufacturing for Indorama Ventures. Also a dad of 3 and a little grandbaby that was just born who just so happens to be at SeaWorld today, so I hope to catch them later. The company I work for is called Indorama Ventures. Indorama is a growing company, now about $15 billion in revenue, 35 countries, 140 manufacturing sites. You would know us from our products in water bottles, PET, plastics. 1 in 5 bottles globally is produced from polymers from Indorama. 1 in 2 premium baby diapers are made from fibers from Indorama. 1 in 4 airbags from our yarns, and we are the #1 surfactants producer in the Americas. So just quickly, our value stream is centered around PET. We do have, all the way from shale gas ethane to produce ethylene to ethylene glycol to make PET, as well as paraxylene to PTA, and then the end products of packaging. Recycling, which is a huge focus for us around sustainability, and in fibers we use polyester, but also nylon, rayon, polypropylene, polyethylene for the 3 verticals we have in fibers. And so thank you. Many of you in the room perhaps are customers. We appreciate focusing on the customers and helping us grow. What I'd like to talk about today is around APM. What is and how does it benefit us? We really use it focusing on 2 primary focus points, and one is around reliability. And one way to look at reliability around this, from monitoring to prediction, we do have already deployed and for decades have deployed condition-based monitoring sensors. And we have used the APM focus to help build an extra layer of understanding with digital twins. So we're taking first principle physics-based models to indicate where we are versus where we should be and generating some actions and alerts from that. And then at a very customized level, building some machine learning solutions to help identify patterns and anomaly detection and providing alerts for that. So for the reliability, building a model that indicates how far you've drifted away from normal, which would be the top line, and then the bottom section there is Paretoing out the causes associated with that. And so we're using Honeywell's APM software to help us do that in these applications. And also with the tool, it allows very easily for you to capture how faults happen and bring that data in with a history of alerts and what was actively causing an issue at this time, and then also when was the last time something alarmed in this fault pattern is a helpful way to diagnose, and capture knowledge. So that's from a reliability standpoint. And from a performance modeling standpoint, this is just one example we've used to build a digital twin. Digital twin terms used very loosely. Broadly, what we're describing here is the mathematical representation of a physical asset. And in this case, we have a problem here. We're using too much, in this case, of nitrogen is what we're actually consuming here. But there's a problem, and it's really hard looking at this blue line to predict where the problem is. And if you use statistical process control, you still can't find the problem. What the digital twin enables you to do is layer in some visibility to where you should be. So if I were to build the twin, it could tell you the yellow line's where I should be. And now you can easily begin to see where you departed from normal in this case. And if you monitor the gap between normal and where you actually are, you can then begin to set alerts that help guide you to making solutions. So the red line is just the delta between those two, and whenever the red line gets above some statistical significant variable, we send an alert. And so if you look at the black line, you can see when the black line goes up, there's an alert. You can see where the problem started, and then about midway when it was corrected. But it's completely invisible unless you have the twin. And so now we're using this tool to help us send alerts to people in the area that indicate, hey, you should do something. And where before we just couldn't tell. We'd come to the morning meeting, you're using nitrogen. Everybody go check your nitrogen meter. And so now this helps, give a very specific guidance to improve that. This is what it looks like in the Honeywell tool. So how to be successful, I can speak to both ends, how to be not successful and how to be successful. So definitely start with the problem. Don't deploy technology. You will get easy adoption if you walk in and say, please, we want to teach you about machine learning and artificial intelligence and digital twins, and everybody's super excited, and they run to the room and they learn about it, and then they leave the room, they might deploy a model. What we're talking about is how do you keep them involved, and how do you keep them engaged? And it really comes back to, are you solving a problem that's meaningful? And like the nitrogen example, that returns several $1,000s every month versus where we were, and people are excited about keeping it and sustaining it. Some of the other models we've built, we've deployed this solution at 10 sites globally, and some sites aren't using it, and some sites are using it, and it really has to do with, are you solving a real problem that matters to people? The second thing we learned is, and we did an analysis in 2021 of all the projects, and they really fell into three buckets. We had projects that were contributing value and were successful. We had projects that were technically successful, but were not contributing value. And we had projects that were just not successful at all. I mean, we didn't have the data, we weren't successful. And we went back and analyzed, why is that? The one that frustrates us the most is, we build a model, it works, but nobody uses it. That's very frustrating. And we sort of come up with these three buckets that really help prioritize and make sure that you can get adoption, long-term adoption. One is you have to have leadership commitment. There will be problems. You really need the leader to say, I want it, I need it, please make this happen. The other thing we noticed is, especially with data models, is you have to have data. And our plants are like many of yours, built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I heard someone say yesterday, like a classic rock station. The problem with data is real. We have some data, but really the amount of data you need to do analytics, you may not have. And so that can stop you from being successful. And the last thing we found is, don't expect someone who already has a full-time job and already has a project that they're managing to come in and learn how to do machine learning or AI, right? You're going to need some time to work. You got to dedicate some resources to make this happen so that they can learn it, believe it, and adopt it. Also, a non-threatening learning environment is helpful. Focusing on people is what sustains the capability. We developed something called the Digital Academy, and our Digital Academy helps teach people what are basics around digital transformation, but specifically around APM, we could not have the live training session. So we deployed all this through COVID. We were actually getting started right as we left ARC in 2020, February 2020. So we've been on the journey since then, and we couldn't have the in-person training, and actually COVID actually helped, because through MS Teams we recorded the training sessions. And so now those are stored on our company intranet, and when someone comes new, we say, please go watch the training, and they get the same training that everybody got, online. So that actually helped us. Having a team to support the people at the sites when they get stuck on something like machine learning or analytics is vital, and supporting the teams, from a regional perspective. Also, just to give credit to to Honeywell, our technical partner, have been fantastic partners to help lead us through and learn some of the tools. And so we really appreciate, not only their knowledge, but also the programmatic deployment and our internal network of collaboration. So lastly, just quickly, it does help to have some guidance and communicate. So we have a daily review of alerts that are sent via email. We actually still manage a lot of those, and so working through that. But weekly, we do summarize the alerts and send action points to the specific the remote support person does that and sends specific action points. Monthly, we track the savings, and quarterly, we have a review with leadership and with our partners. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.